Hello everyone and welcome back to the channel. Today I have for you a slightly modified version of my previous little cup team. Um, I was seeing a little bit too many Cottenee and the previous line of Deino, Seel and Purloin was just super weak to that. So I wanted to change up a wee bit, providing extra support and cover for against the Cottenee, while also still having a very good matchup against Bronzor. So I've gone with Vulpix here, and we'll see how we get on today. So in the first game I've got for you today, as you can already see, we've got Deino in the lead against Skorupi, which is a very interesting pick. A Pokemon that I actually enjoy using in Little Cup. It's got a solid moveset, it's pretty tanky, deals decent damage. And my opponent here is utilizing it very well. I end up catching the next cross poison there and on my seal, and I managed to swap out there. And my opponent here is brought in their Marini. Marini is quite interesting. Poison Sting again does generate energy quite fast, and I'm fairly sure it's got the same moveset as Toxapex, so Brine and then the Sludge Wave. So the opponent here throws the Sludge Wave, which will take out my seal here. I'm able to farm down with my Deino here, get to the crunch on the imposing Whooper. I really thought that this was looking very bad for me here. I knew I was going to survive a Mud Bomb, but I wasn't too sure if I was going to get to the Body Slam in time, but I just managed to hang on here, and hopefully now I can Ember down the Scroopy in the back. One Ember is enough, and that takes the game. Into game two here, we have Deino versus Bronzor. Classic lead matchup here for me. I like to go up to the crunch here, and I like to overfarm just slightly. Quite often they like to sort of catch the crunch on this Pokemon here, which is a Galarian Zigzagoon here. But they now bring it in here after taking the crunch on their Bronzor. I do land the Body Slam here, and Deino here has done good work here, so we'll let this go. And I will now bring in my Seal now, which isn't particularly great. The licks are double resisted by the um, dark and normal typing, so they're not doing a lot of damage. But I do manage to get to the Aquatail and take out before taking another Body Slam, so that's nice. Back comes the Bronzor here, which is down to 50% or so. I do try to catch the Heavy Slam there. I think I just miss it there, but thankfully my opponent throws it anyway. And in the back they have an Igglybuff. So with the Bronzor now low on energy, I'm hoping my Seal with energy is able to sort of take that one down. Um, the faint attacks here on the Igglybuff are starting to add up on my Vulpix, but I do manage to get to the next Weather Ball, which they will end up shielding here, and I'm hoping to just get this as low as I can as they throw the next Body Slam, wanting to try and keep as much HP as they can. I do a few licks here and throw the Aqua Tail. I'm hoping this will be enough so that I still have some energy against the Bronzor. I then was thinking about going up to the Icy Wind, but I just need to get the damage down. So I Aqua Tail the Bronzor, and I managed to lick it down just in time before it can get to another move. Into the next battle, we've got Deino versus Vullaby, an instant swap out from my opponent into their Seal. I can safely stay in this matchup because I've got my own Seal with Icy Wind to deal with the Vullaby. I like to power up to the crunch there and throw the Body Slam. That's generally how I play that matchup. Um, I then swap out into my Seal to basically fully farm down the opposing Seal here, basically having double Icy Wind now for the Vullaby to come back into. So I throw the first Icy Wind, which they no shield as I'm debuffed, so it makes sense. I throw one lick and then another Icy Wind to maximize the energy that I'm gaining. I then swap into my Deino here to try and get as much Dragon Breath damage as I can. And now it's looking like my Vulpix in the back here is looking very good with a shield advantage. And here it goes, bring down. I can easily no shield the first one because it's just a Body Slam. And I get to the Weather Ball before my opponent can get to the next Body Slam, which will easily take out the Shelmet at that point, and then I can Ember down very easily the rest of the Vullaby's health. Now, into the next one. Deino versus Cottenee, not very good, so instant swap out to my Seal. The opponent does a few charms there before swapping out to their um, Lickitung here. And I am just trying to do basically as much damage as I can to this Lickitung as I can. I need to get as much energy sort of advantage as I can. I end up shielding there, hoping to get to the Aquatail to force their shield. Unfortunately, I just miscalculate, and unfortunately, they're able to take me out with their second body slam. That means I do get my um, Dino in there to gain some energy, which isn't too bad. I then swap out obviously instantly into Vulpix here because I need um, the Cottenee cannot take obviously doesn't like taking fire damage, and Dino there cannot take any sort of charms as it literally just dies. Now the plan here is to try and fully farm down this Iggly buff. I'm hoping they're only going to get to one move. They do, and unfortunately for me, it's a Shadow Ball. They then instantly swap out into their Cottenee, and they're able to do one charm and take me out there. A super close game. If I'd managed to fully farm down the Iggly buff, I think would have survived. I would have survived one charm and then been able to get off two body slams to win that game. So a super close one. You win some, you lose some. Into the next game here, we've got Deino versus Seel at the minute. We are currently trading damage for shields, which is fine for me. I managed to farm down the Seel fully there. In comes their Shelmet. I fire off a crunch straight away, and I'm just going to stay in here. I should have probably swapped out there, even though I do get to this next body slam. I'm already debuffed with the Icy Wind from the Seel. Was that a great use? I probably should have just pivoted out into my Seel. I do though do some Ember damage and successfully catch the next body slam there. I unfortunately can't quite lick down in time. And unfortunately do take a very big bug buzz there. Um, Luckily, in some sense for me, that my opponent now has a Ember Vulpix of their own, and I am able to get to the second Aquatail after they shield the first one. So this does massive damage here, and basically leaves my own Vulpix in position to sweep the rest of this game here. I Ember down the Vulpix there, and my opponent says thank you very much. Into the next one here, we have Dino versus Why Not. Not great for me. I instantly swap out into my Seel here, and my opponent does a couple of counters with Why Not before swapping out into their own Seel, which means I can get the Icy Wind off first. Not doing a lot of damage, but importantly reducing the lick damage. And again, each time, because I've got an energy advantage, I'm able to get to these Icy Winds first, reducing the lick damage that gets taken by me. My opponent here throwing their next charge move, which is another Icy Wind. And hopefully here I am doing as much damage as I can. I think this is an Aquatail, which is correct. I then bank the energy and try to snipe farm down the Seel, which I almost get to, but not quite. Because of the energy advantage again, I'm able to get to this crunch quite nicely. And then it's kind of almost a race on. They do need to throw some energy at me. I end up shielding, knowing that I can get to this body slam with another dragon breath. Just about take it out, but do manage to. So that was quite nice to sort of flip that a wee bit here. But now here comes the tricky bit with the Dino with the shield advantage now. Not Dino, the Bronzor, sorry, with shield advantage. This is still going to be pretty tough. They do shield up the first weather ball, which is great. And they throw just before I get to my second weather ball. I do end up shielding this. Unfortunately for me, it is a heavy slam sort of bait, if you want to call it. I probably shouldn't have shielded that first one there, knowing that I definitely survive um, a payback at that point. It's definitely not worth me doing. The opponent here tries to catch the um, weather ball fire there. Unfortunately for them, I just end up farming up a bit more. Farm down the Seel before it can farm me down. Throw the weather ball at the Bronzor, and then swap into my own Seel to throw the Aquatail and lick down for the win. Into the next one here, we have Dino versus Dino. I like to play this where I fully farm down and I shield the Dino's body slam. It's just the way that I like to play it. It is a bit iffy and close. I think there's merits for doing it either way. I do though get the crunch and the debuff off on the Dino there, and now we have the invisible Pokemon time. Luckily for me, the way it worked out for me was very good because then I won switch advantage, which in this case is very very good. I'm able to line up my Vulpix on the Deino and my Seel onto the opposing Vulpix. I end up throwing the Icy Wind first to debuff them, basically, knowing that they'll definitely shield, still having 2 shields. I can then safely go for the Aqua Tail the second time to grab the second shield, and my opponent here does throw the Body Slam eventually when it catches up. This leaves it in a position where I can pretty much farm down the Vulpix, but they swap back into Deino. I then throw the Weather Ball Fire, take it out fully, and I will definitely be able to survive a Body Slam and Ember down the opponent's Vulpix. Into the next one here, we have Deino versus Alolan Sandshrew Shadow. A very bad matchup for me. Straight into my Seel here as the safe swap. My opponent farms up 5 Powder Snows there to Night Slash. I can easily tank that, and they are staying in, so I will start throwing some Aqua Tails to do heavy damage onto them. I get the first shield off them there. I still don't need to shield this Night Slash here. I can easily survive it, as well as the getting up to the Aqua Tail. Unfortunately, they end up sniping me with their own Deino. Again, I'm going to play this matchup how I play it normally. I will shield and fully farm down the Deino, getting as much energy as I can here. I know the Sandshrew is going to come back in once the timer, the switch clock has gone down. But actually, they have a Cottenee in the back, so they bring that in. Thankfully for me, I have Ember Vulpix here. I count the charms there, 7, and I throw the Weather Ball on the CMP tie. They decide to um, shield their Cottenee there. I'm able to get to the next Weather Ball before the Sandshrew can get to Night Slash, and I can fully farm down the Cottenee for the win. Into the next one here, we have Deino versus Shadow, Alolan Grimer. Very spicy pick, loving it. And it is Poison Jab version as well. They're obviously sick of seeing Cottenee as well. And so I kind of play this like I play the Deino matchup. I'm going to shield once and fully farm down. And my opponent will now bring in their, I didn't quite see, I think that was Galarian Zigzagoon. No, it was Dwebble actually. So I don't know where I got that from. So they're able to take out my Deino there with some smackdowns, and then bring in my Seel, and just start licking away. They try to catch the um, Aqua Tail there onto their Deino, but I was just going to farm up some more, and I'm able to align my Vulpix now onto the Vullaby, which is very good because I do not want to be taking those smackdowns from the Dwebble here. I then am able to throw off the Weather Ball Fire, and I get some good damage off there. I still have an Aqua Tail stored in the back on the Seel to then take out the Dwebble, and that's all she wrote. Into the next battle here, we have Deino versus Vullaby. Very positive matchup for me again. My opponent instantly swaps out into Bronzor. I then bring in my Vulpix as the hard counter here. I fire off the first Weather Ball Fire, and my opponent no shields. I am going to no shield the first one here, which was a payback, which I can easily survive, and I can still get to two more Weather Balls, I reckon, before my opponent before the opponent tackles me down. But they end up throwing their energy. I'm going to shield and preserve my switch advantage. Back comes in the Vullaby here, so I'm going to fire off another Weather Ball Fire. I do grab the shield there, which is very nice, and again I can line up my Deino against this, which is taking not very effective damage from the feint attacks, and I'm dealing out good neutral damage. My opponent there does manage to catch the Body Slam onto their Alolan Sandshrew, Shadow Alolan Sandshrew, which doesn't really like uh, the Body Slam there still, which still does a lot of damage considering it was resisted. I'm then able to line up my Seel onto this. I know I can survive the next Night Slash there, fully farm down, and my opponent here is forced to throw the energy here. I do end up shielding because I reckon I can get to the Icy Wind in time, which I do. Just before I go down there, do massive super effective damage, and then snipe it with the Deino. Thanks very much for watching that. I really liked doing this video because sometimes a small change can make a big difference in certain matchups. There was a Cottenee lead matchup there, which we unfortunately still lost, and unfortunately, because of that being such a hard loss into Deino, it's so hard to overcome because your opponent should be running counters to the counters for the counters to the for the Cottenee. But it's still good to to reflect on a team, I saw that it wasn't working for me at the current elo that I was at. I was seeing too many Cottenee leads, so I had to switch it up in some way. And sometimes just that one change. Deino and Seel are still solid picks. Vulpix is a solid answer to Deino in the low cup still, so it's still a Bronzor hating team, not Deino, a Bronzor hating team. All three Pokemon still do very well against Bronzor, but sometimes you've just got to adapt to what you see in the meta. Just because somebody says a team is good on YouTube, you've got to make sure that you're adapting for you. So thank you very much for watching, everyone. I hope you enjoyed it, and I will catch you guys next time.